Schools, Jeff Beal, with a brand new person in a brand new position, Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Curriculum, Kelly Crum. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Bart. Bart, I like that blue. That blue looks good on you.
Oh, well, thank
you very much. Tie?
It is. Yeah.
Right on cue. We got to get him some Viking orange, though. We got to get him
Funny
right
story.
Yeah.
It's from the sale rack at Von Mauer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have great sales.
Okay.
It is a great day to be a Viking, though, Bart. We do got to get you some Viking orange to come on the show with, but I mean, obviously, for us to be able to...
I can't remember the last time you wore orange on the show, Jeff.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Well, you do have colors of fall and Viking orange today.
Yes, I do it on a dress.
Well, congratulations. I think the community knows you for the work that you've done at Jackson College.
Absolutely.
Center for Family Health.
Yes.
JPS.
Yes.
And you're from here.
I am from here. So, full circle, like I'm coming back home, right? Jackson Public Schools shaped, molded, nurtured me into who I am today. I had amazing teachers, amazing principals, counselors, and staff that just developed me, teach me how to be a leader. So having the opportunity that just fell in my lap, right? To leave Jackson College and stay in my community, you know I love my community. To come back home again and just be able to do the work that I feel like I do, you know, so well at, which is the DEI work.
Yeah, and that's, I think, maybe a surprise to some people that JPS did not have a DEI person full-time dedicated.
You know, we've been on this journey for a while now, and some of the exploration really is setting a course and direction, and you have to feel like you've got the right time for this. You know, Kelly and I talked when she came on in our interview, and early on I said, listen, I'm not looking for a position to sit in the closet. I'm not looking for a position to sit in an office. I want you in the buildings. I want you working with our parents. I want you working with our staff, our students. I want you building JPS, and so we really, and it felt like this was the right time to be able to bring this position on board, because we've seen it done so haphazardly, and I've talked with my peers across the state, and I mean no disrespect to anybody in the field. I can just say that what I have seen has not been a delivery of the promise, and I think that's what Kelly brings to the table is a delivery of the promise, right? It's how do we make our schools more equitable? How do we make them more accessible? How do we create better experiences for all of our kids? How do we, I mean, Kelly and I were just in a conversation about parent engagement. How do we engage our families in their child's learning versus just involvement? You know, if we're just coming to the games, or if we're just showing up to parent-teacher conferences, we're just dipping our toe into what we really need to be doing as a community to help our students.
So your district, the largest in Jackson County, and also the most diverse in really a lot of measures. So when we talk about diversity as it applies to your position, is it about race? Is it about education and income? Is it about various other factors that play into that?
So as we talk about diversity, you know, of course race plays a major, right? But we're talking about social, economic status, talking about disabilities, diversity in thought, diversity in perspective. We're gonna bring all of that to the table, even in our curriculum, right, as well, which is a part of my title. And so Jeff's leadership, having an equitable lens is what we're looking at across the district. And I'm there to support. How can I be in the buildings, which I will be, to support our students, to support our teachers and our faculty, to make sure that students have the resources that they need. We're talking about academic success, right? Students that, I'm a JPS product, as I said earlier, so those students that are there, I'm there to recruit as well, right? To get students to come to Jackson Public Schools, because I do think that we are the best, right? In the county, I'll just say that. I'm a Viking for life. And so as they come, I want them to feel a place of belonging, a place that they feel that they're included. Not just the students, but our employees too. So providing them with the training and the tools that they need for our students and for our communities, being that, you know, voice for the voiceless, for our marginalized students that may feel as though they don't belong or they don't fit in. So, and then with our parents, right? Community, you know, I'm big on community and I love this community. So how can I, being who I am, make sure that the community, our parents, our grandparents, feel as though JPS is the best place and how they can be successful in the district. So I'm going to support our superintendent as well across the board with our principals to make sure that we give our students and our faculty, you know, what they need.
So Jeff, in some parts of the country, there is a move away from having government funding for DEI positions, and I think everyone's familiar with Florida, where the governor has essentially banned government funding for that type of a position. In starting this department and creating this position, what does it mean that where we are creating something where they're being slashed elsewhere?
Well, I guess a couple things. First of all, it's not a grant-funded position. This is a general fund-funded position. So I'm not worried in that regard, and I don't think Kelly should be worried in that regard either. But we're going to do, and I kind of my commitment from the beginning, the first day I stepped on board as the superintendent for Jackson Public Schools, we're going to do what's right for Jackson. We're going to do what's right for our students and our schools. To be fair, I'm not worried about following a trend or breaking a trend. We're always student-centered. We're always focused on moving Jackson Public Schools forward. I'm a product of Jackson Public Schools. I mean, we've talked about this, and it very much is this family affair where we look around and like Kelly, I'm where I sit because of my experiences at Jackson Public Schools. I'm a big believer in public education, and we're going to deliver that promise, the promise of public education to our students, and we're going to find the next superintendent of Jackson Public Schools. We're going to inspire the next teacher to teach your kids, and they're going to come from our classes.
You're not leaving, are you?
No.
Oh, because you mentioned the next.
No, I'm not leaving. But the reality is that I every year when the graduates walk across the class, I'm looking at the kids and I'm going, there's
you were a JPS graduate
and
yourself.
Nobody had to pick that back out in class of 1989, but that's the piece. So I'm not worried about where those pieces are going. The board and I create a budget and to fund our programs, and we've done very well with that. As you know, when I first got here, we were slashing and cutting, and fund balance was down into I think at one point almost 2%, and we've been working very hard at it over the past decade, and I think we're sitting significantly better, maybe a little over 20% today. So, and we feel very comfortable that this is not just the time to be able to do this, but this is really our moment to make some of those pivotal changes.
Great. Now, I was looking at your background, and I see that you were a cheerleading coach at Jackson High at one point. Are you thinking about coming back?
No. When I left, retired from coaching, I passed that baton to Aisha Parker, who's doing a marvelous job. But I was a cheerleader, right? I was outgoing. I was part of a lot of things.
You're still a
in high school.
cheerleader.
I am. I will break out a cheer in a heartbeat. You better ask somebody about that. Go, Vikings. So, yes.
She's still a coach too. Let's not pretend that she's not.
More of a mentor coach, though, right?
You have, I think, another perspective, and I'm sure you've talked about all your years at Jackson College, students from High interested in JC. You've got
that pipeline is still there, and that pipeline won't go anywhere, right? Because of the dual enrollment, the JCEC courses that we have there, we'll still be sending kids, promoting those students to finish post-secondary, right? Because that's important. Getting some type of skill set. So we'll be working with those students to make sure. Because as I always say, people can't see what they can't be. So my job is to make sure in this equitable lens that I have that we expose our students to all different type of things that are out there to make them wonder what they can be, right? So if they can see that Jeff was a product of JPS and now he's a superintendent, they can do that, right? They can be a teacher or lineman worker or whatever it is, or even come be you, Bart. Come sit on your show after you retire.
And there it is again. You know, I don't know, every day, there's not a day that goes by someone doesn't ask me when I'm going to retire.
Really? Not that we want you to.
Every time somebody says something like that, I'm going to add them a year to.
That's exactly it.
No, but you've got, I know, some plans. You've been on board already, and you've probably got, in your experiences, some things that you want to try or implement or explore at JPS.
Absolutely. JPS has been working with Dr. Johnson recently and Dr. Marks, and they've done some equity work and some assessments. I'm going to look at those and dive into those deeply and see where we need to go. There's some things that have been suggested, and if we're going to look at those, and I'm ready. You know, use my skill set and experiences to bring, you know, some new things to the JPS.
And you have a vision for the role.
I do, but you know, Kelly's spot on right. Dr. Johnson is currently working with us. Dr. Marks has worked with us, and Kelly's going to be able to work with them, and then in addition be able to provide training to our staff to help us hit more. You know, part of the challenges is when you bring in outside consultants, there's a limited audience that can break away from school on a daily basis, and so even if you break them away 10 times a year, it's still a fraction of our whole population. We're 1,000 employees, and so trying to make certain that we can that training can be continuous, can be ongoing, can reach, you know, our frontline workers to our administrative staff and everywhere in between. We very much want to be able to deliver that, and so there's going to be some training that Ms. Crum's going to do, and you know, we heard. I think a lot of people miss this, that you know, we heard from our students. We've been talking with them, and they're saying, hey, look, racism is still real, folks, and we hear a lot of racism, and a lot of it is student to student. How do we stop that? How do we combat it? How do we have faith in the system that when I report it or when I express a concern about it, that something will be done, or that my issues will be heard, or that I'll be taken seriously? And at the same point, we've heard from our staff. We listen to our teachers and we talk to them, and they're saying we need more tools in our toolbox. We need more approaches to be able to help our students through these difficult conversations, through these difficult times, so that our teachers can respond appropriately, so that our teachers can make the students feel safe and comfortable in their environment. So there's a lot of areas to address out there, but right out of the gate, our staff and our students have pointed the direction. They've told us, this is what we want, this is what we need. And my job, a lot of times people go, what does a superintendent do besides, you know, hold board meetings? And my job is really to make certain that the teachers have what they need and the students have what they need. And so they've told us, and you know, we were lucky enough to find a first-round draft pick, you know, in Kelly Crum, and if you can get a #1 draft pick, you want to make certain that you do.
Yeah, and I know.
Appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks.
And I know there's no hard feelings between Jeff and Dan Phelan, because they had lunch last week, and it seemed to be respectful and quiet. No yelling.
Quiet?
Kelly, we learned a little bit about your professional background and experience, but tell us a little bit about your family and life outside JPS.
Life outside.
Yeah.
So married to Derek. I have 2 adult children, 7 grandchildren.
Wow.
And, you know, I'm into the community, doing a lot of things, serving in many capacities. Church is a big priority, my faith, so making sure that I stay grounded in that. And then my parents. You know, my parents are elderly parents. They're in their 80s, and I make sure that they're doing good and checking on them. And then just being a resource to other people. You don't realize how many people call me, and you know, so I'm always problem solving for others. But whatever I can do to help, that's what I'm here for. It's my calling to be a servant leader. And so being a servant leader at Jackson Public Schools is my next chapter, my next season, and I'm excited about that.
Well, I'm sure your family and your parents and everyone proud of you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, Bart, before we part, can I just very quickly, we last night announced, and we've been working on this since the beginning of the school year, we've hired 8 new parent liaisons to work in all of our buildings. So now every building's got a parent liaison to help build those relationships between parents and schools, to help talk about that engagement I was referring to earlier. And we certainly see, you know, Kelly working with those parent liaisons to help make our schools more accessible, to help make our schools more transparent, to help make our schools, you know, something that where everybody feels comfortable and safe. But I want to make sure I mention that because you're going to see those folks in the schools, and I'm hoping that our parents, our viewers watching on here today, will take advantage of that. We'll be able to reach out to the school and go, okay, who's the parent liaison that can help me find my way in this education path? So there's some great things happening at Jackson Public Schools. It's not a one target focus. It's quite literally we're attacking the challenge from multiple angles.
Great. Appreciate the good news and the updates. Thanks for being here today.
Thank
Thanks
you very
for
much.
having us.
The new Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Curriculum, Kelly Crum, and JPS Superintendent, Jeff Beal.